Hi, this is going to be part 2 of the chapter 10 video for making your own functions and procedures. We're going to do the update procedure that you see here, and we'll also do some triggers. Alright, so I am going to move this over so that I can see it while I work. I'm just looking. Get it back where it was. Alright, and then I'm going to go to PG Admin. And I think I make a new query editor. I'll add this as a second. So I'm going to create a new, or get a new query tool. Alright. So what we want to do is to create a procedure for updating person information. Okay, so that's what we're going to work at. Just like always, we're going to start with create or replace. And it's still going to be called a function. Actually, in the newer versions, procedure would work, but I'm going to go with what the book has. We're going to call it edit person. And we will start with the parentheses. And these are the things that we're going to do in it. We are going to have a person key. And it will be an integer. Alright. So you only want a person to be able to edit themselves. So the person key could be entered from the website or the database without the person even having to know it. First name, last name, email, which would also be text, email, which would be text. We're going to add, I guess we'll add apartment, so we'll let them be able to edit their address as well. Okay, and this this period there would cause an error. And this lack of a comma there would cause an error. So since we're going to do that, if they moved, we'll do street, city, state, and zip code. So state, which again I'll put in quotes, car 2, and then we'll do zip code, which we will do as car 11. Alright. I'm going to just delete a couple of those. So those are all the things we're going to let them change. I'm not going to do password here. I would do password as a separate procedure where you allow them to change their password. So what we're going to do is we're going to update person. And we are going to say to set person first name equals first name, person last name equals last name, we need to comma here. Person email equals email. Person primary phone equals phone. And I think that's it, except for where PK, P key, or where person key equals PK. This is really important because this is what limits it to that one person. So the way this would work in a real form is that when you bring up the web form to edit, all of these would be populated. First name would have their old first name, last name, email, etc. And it would you would just change the things that had changed, and it would write everything back. That's typically the way these update forms work. Now we also allowed them to update person address. We're not letting them change their key. So we're going to set person address apartment equals apartment. Person address street equals street. Person address city equals city. And person address state equals state. All right, and again, where person address zip code. So we do need a comma here. Equals zip code. And again, the all-important where person key equals PK. P key. Okay, and that's actually the whole thing. I am going to close it and say that language is SQL. Okay. So I am going to highlight all of this and run it. Oh, I didn't do a result, right? So at the very top of this, I have to say returns void. So let's try it again. Phone doesn't exist. I didn't add phone. So I need to add phone. Now, if we do it, it should work. Okay, so it's successful. So let's do select. I'm going to try it. First of all, let's do select star from person. And what we'll do is we'll choose a person to change. So Jerry Smith is on the top. I'm not sure that that will be the case when we do this, but let's make Jerry Smith into Jesse Smith, and we'll change the address to go with, or the email to go with that. So I am going to we're going to select edit person. All right, and so we need to get the things in the orders that they belong. So I am going to do 11. Actually, maybe let's look at what the last person, the person we just entered before. That's 137. Let's change that. So 137 is that. We need their first name. So I'm going to do Joseph Rogers. We're going to change the first name to Joseph. All right, from Joe. And then we'll do Rogers. All right. And we're going to change the email to joseph.rogers@hotmail.com. We're going to give them a phone number. I think we'll just do the same phone number. All right, never mind. I'll just type it in. 206 555 1290. Okay. I'm going to press enter because we need to keep entering things. I'm going to do 212 as the apartment. 1200 150th Street. I don't know if this is the same address. I'm going with the book. And we'll do Seattle and Washington. Again, this would be easier in a form. And we will do just 98001. All right. And that again should be quoted. So we'll try to run this. Oops, we don't want to select person, just this. It should return void. And then let's do up here, we'll do select person where person key equals 137. And we can see that it's now Joseph and Joseph Rogers, so those two things have changed. I didn't look at the address, but we'll presume that those have changed too. If we look at person address, we didn't look at what it was before, but it will reflect what's there. All right. So let's talk about triggers. A trigger is a procedure that is triggered by an event. The events are usually insert, update, or delete. Okay, so we're going to do one for insert. So for insert, we want to flag when a request is larger than the minimum or larger than the maximum. All right. So one of the first things that we need to do is we need to alter the table grant application. And we are going to add a field called add is flagged Boolean default false. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to add a field which we can flag it if it is too large a request. Oh, I did grant application as a space. All right, so we've added that field to grant application. So we're going to create a trigger function here. And we're going to say create or replace function flag request or flag request. It's not going to take any arguments because a trigger cannot take any arguments. Returns trigger as, and then we'll start it with body. So I'm going to do, this is a different way. We could just do the double things as we've done before. And we're going to do a begin. All right, so that's how we start it. We're creating or replacing a function. We give it a name. It returns a trigger, and then we start the body. This is just a slightly different way to start the body, just to show you. So I am going to do if new dot grant application amount is greater than, and we're going to do a subquery here. Let me break the line. Select grant type one time max from grant type where, I guess I'll break it on where, grant type key equals new grant type key. And then we're going to, that's if, and then we're going to do it then. What do we do if that if is true? A couple of things that I want to note here. New is the information being inserted at this moment or updated for this trigger. So it captures what's coming in and compares it to what is, if this grant amount that they're requesting, if this new grant amount is greater than the grant type key, and it again is getting it from the new record, the new insert coming in. Right, so it gets the grant type key. If it is greater than the max for that grant type key, then what it's going to do is it's going to update. So I'm going to break this up. It's going to update the grant application. And it's going to set is flagged, the field we just added, equal true. I don't know that it matters if that's where grant application key equals new grant application key. And then what we're going to do is we will end the if. And then what it's going to do is return new. And then we have the end. And then we have the end body. And the language, in this case, is PS or PL, procedural language, Postgres, SQL. Okay, so this is the trigger function. It's part of what we need. So when I do this, that was successful. Now we need to create the actual trigger that uses this trigger function. And I'm looking here. Let's do functions. Trigger functions. This is where flag request is, right? All right, so we're going to use this. We're going to create a trigger. So this is another thing, create trigger. I'm going to call it flag over amounts. And it will happen after the insert. So you have some choices there. You can do after, instead of, and you can do it before. Right? But we're going to let the insert happen, and that's why we can update what's there. But we're going to do it after the insert happens. Again, you can do and we have to say what table it's going to be on grant application. We'll look at it for each row. And we're going to execute the procedure, and that will be the flag request. Our function, our trigger function. Okay, so I'm going to run this. This will be the trigger. All right, now the trigger, we have to go up to grant application, and notice it has a thing for triggers, and then we can see flag over request, and that it calls the flag request. Triggers are always on a specific table. All right, so now all we have to do is test this trigger. So I am going to, let's take a quick look. So So I want to see the grant types. All right, so food, the max is 210. So let's just do the food. And let's give it a value that is greater than 210. So I am going to insert into grant request, or grant application rather. The date will just be current date. Person key, I'm just going to choose one. I don't know that that's who we would really want. Let's do current timestamp here. One. Actually, let's do our new person so we don't mess things up. The we have to enter these in the right order. Let's just write. Let's get the fields up there. All right, so we want application date, and we want the person key, and we want the grant type key. I'm going to press enter just to put it all on the next line. We want the grant application amount. I don't know that I need the explain, but we'll do that in case it's required. All right, so we have those. Okay, and then we'll do the values. And the date will be current timestamp. Person key 137, grant type 1. We want to do it for 300 because that's more than the 210. And we don't, is flagged. We don't need to put that in there. For explanation, I'm just going to do hungry. All right. So we should be able to insert that. It says that it was successful. Notice we have a 0, 1. So let's go select star from grant application. I just will look at the last one. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to do here. Notice these are all false, but when I get down here, it is true. This one is flagged as true. So the trigger worked. All right. I think this is all I'm going to do for right now. So this is the second part of that other one, of the one that had the functions and the procedures.